When a company is big, they are always in the news. They are always getting some kind of attention. Sometimes that attention is legal. So, what is going on with Tesla and the many, many legal challenges they're facing? Well, I brought on a not lawyer to help me discuss it. It is Mark from the Tesla Life podcast. He does fantastic work. And if you need legal advice, his is free and worth a little bit less than every penny, but he's going to join me to talk about it because we got some thoughts we'd like to share. I'm Brian. Welcome to Future Awesome. So, Mark, before we get into it, I should mention I got to meet Patrick.
He's not an image just on a screen.
No, for you guys at home, maybe he still is, but he does exist in real life, and it was so fun. I saw him coming up to the door, and I went and held the door for him, and he's like, "Hey, Brian, I'm Patrick." And I was like, "Yeah, yes. So
You look exactly like the guy I talked to on the video.
well, I mean, he's usually wearing like glasses or a hat or something, but he still looks like Patrick. It was a lot of fun. And I used his picture rather than mine because his filter is so much more forgiving. I mean, you have to deal with this. He shouldn't have to. So it was great. And yeah, I said, I hope I didn't pressure you too much into feeling like you had to come meet me. And he said, you did. because there's no way he was going to let you meet me in person before he did when you and I are not just on opposite coasts, but in different countries. And he's practically my neighbor. So, guys, if you want to meet me at an event, there's an easy way to make sure I get to them. You can show some support on Patreon, on YouTube, or on X as a subscriber. That is where substantial chunk of my revenue comes from, because YouTube is famously the devil. So with that said, I should share this. I'm already on the road in Europe. Not as of the recording of this, but I will be by the time it airs, on my way to the Tesla takeover in Europe. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to be staying with Jan from Tesla Fix, and we're going to have some very fun, very silly content. And I've got some very fun ideas for that. So with that said, hey man, law professor says Tesla threatened to fire the entire law firm because this guy who worked there was going to write an amicus brief explaining why he disagreed with Elon's pay package. Does that sound, well, what's your take on it?
Well, that's someone's opinion. It's kind of a wild opinion. Like let's face it. When Elon put out his goals that he had to make in order to get his pay package, a lot of people thought he's never going to be able to achieve even two of these 5 items. There was just no way he was going to be able to do this. So Elon's goal was huge, and he did achieve it. So in my opinion, he did what he was going to do, said he was going to do. He achieved it within the time frame that he said he would. Pay the man. That's it.
I don't call it compensation. I call it back pay. Because and what I tell the haters is if you really hate the man and really hate us fanboys, you should encourage us to pay him. Because think of how you'll stick it to us. This isn't about the price of the cars. It's the shareholders who will ultimately make the payment. So throw me under the bus, guys. It's fine. But we asked him to achieve the impossible, and he did. And I've seen other people, well, this was for a 10-year deal. I want the full 10 years. Right, but you want to punish him for getting the job done early? That's bonkers. Retired Professor Charles Elson of the University of Delaware alleged in a legal filing on Monday that Holland & Knight, the law firm that he has worked for close to 3 decades, told him that Tesla threatened to end its relationship with the firm unless he dropped plans to submit a legal brief to shareholder lawsuit opposing the payout. My question would be, how would Tesla know that he was planning to do a thing? If he had choreographed it publicly, that seems like a weird decision, and I don't think Tesla would need to apply that pressure. I think his bosses would look at it and say, this is a big client of ours. Maybe don't. Maybe don't because we're afraid that he would take it badly, and we would understand why he would. Does that make more sense?
Makes a lot of sense because he most likely publicly did not say anything, but certainly his own law firm may have known what he was planning on doing.
That seems a lot more likely to me. This is not the first time Tesla's threatened to fire a law firm for employing someone who annoyed Elon by doing his job. He said that he had resigned from the company after learning of the legal threat to protect the firm from retaliation. I mean, you're retired though, so I don't know. This to me, I don't know how much difference this particular amicus brief would have made. I imagine there were already plenty of opinions, and I don't think that the judge would need this one to make the decision. I can tell you from my experience recently going to speak in front of a judge in a very difficult case involving the loss of a loved one, that everything we had to say to the judge, while heartfelt and painful, meant nothing in the grand scheme of things. Maybe they thought it was just cathartic for us, but it was truly brutal. So I don't know. I struggle to believe it. But if there are a lot of ways that it could have come across as Tesla making the threat, I don't even know if that's illegal. If you're working for a law firm that is represented by that client, doesn't that create a conflict of interest? Don't you have to? I mean, it's very weird. I don't think I would imagine that my right to criticize one of my boss's clients would be protected. But
Yeah, and of course, with my status of not being a lawyer, I really don't have an idea if that conflict would come up. But certainly, this one person who wanted to put this out, he's not the only one. There's plenty of Tesla shareholders that are upset still with Elon achieving his goals. So there's a number of different people that have a bone to pick with this, not just this one lawyer.
I would add, while Mark keeps saying he's not a lawyer, he has watched many episodes of Matlock, which makes him more qualified than a lot of people we've seen to discuss these kinds of matters.
It was LA Law, not Matlock.
I know, but it's funnier that way. And the only other one I could think of was Special Victims Unit, and I don't think that one applies.
That's not a good one either, no.
Do you know Elon Musk publicly dumped California for Texas? Now Golden State customers are getting revenge, dumping Tesla in droves. Do you know that they're slipping from first place in the first month of the quarter from the factory where a delivery wave still occurs?
That's interesting. That people are just not buying anymore, huh? California's dropped to second place.
Yeah, and it's all because Elon dumped California. Listen, he is never, ever getting back together. So I just think that these articles are a lot of fun. California makes up 32.5% of registrations of BEVs in the US. Boy, that's high. And the sluggish popularity of Tesla among new car registrants comes at a particularly vulnerable time for the company and for its CEO. I don't know, man. I think it's a little bonkers. Little bonkers there.
They're doomed, Brian. It's doomed. The writing's right there. They're doomed. It's all over.
Well, I'm glad we can agree that we had a good run, Mark.
Yeah, it was fun. Fun while it lasted.
Was it? So, Tesla's being sued over air pollution from its factory operations in Fremont. Now, before I get to it, can you guess what the pollution is from?
It is from paint.
It is absolutely from paint.
The paint shop. And the group that's leveling this lawsuit is a nonprofit, which is kind of interesting.
Yes. And I dug into this group. The Environmental Democracy Project appears to be very legit. It's not one of those oil front groups where they're only concerned about certain kinds of pollution. This group appears to be genuine in their concerns. And among their citations was the fact that Tesla landed at number 89 on the 2023 toxic air polluters list. Now, I struggled. I really tried to find this one. And what I found was a lot of this. And I mean a lot of this. But I did eventually find it. Not the most recent one, but one from 2021. Let me see. Here is, this one is pretty good. So this says this was updated in 2022, but it lists some of the different companies. And here's where I found all the links that I tried to open unsuccessfully. Some not surprising stuff in the worst positions. Dow, Berkshire Hathaway, I guess it's a little surprising, but it wasn't great. And then I finally did find one from 2019. And in 2019, you'll find some not super surprising ones here, I guess. Boeing, BASF, they make magnetic storage, among other things. It is a chemical company. Dow, a chemical company. Eastman Chemical, Ecolab. And then at number 21 on this list is Tesla. And if you look at 1.9 million is their score, that is 1/10 of what Boeing is at. But if you look, they're at number 21. And now, according to that article, they're at number 89. In the last 3 years, they have fallen from number 21 on the worst offender list to number 89. So that would suggest to me that they're at least going in the right direction. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's something that is definitely heading in the right direction. It's curious that the paint shop is that bad because of Tesla has always been light on paint. When people purchase vehicles, that's one of the common complaints is that because of regulations in California, environmental regulations, the paint shop does not have as good of paint as some of the other automakers.
The problem, as I understand it, is they have not been able to expand the footprint of the paint shop since the original permit from the NUMMI plant, but they make about as many cars as the maximum number that NUMMI was able to make, which means they're always stretched to the limit. It would be wonderful for them to tear it out and put in a new paint shop, but a new paint shop is, well, I asked Sandy Monroe once, how much is a paint shop? Because I had heard him say the number $130 million. And he said, oh, that's the starting point. It depends. How much do you want to spend? Do you want to spend $1 billion? You can spend $1 billion on a paint shop. But I don't believe Tesla ever has. That would be too large of a percentage of the total for the factory. But it is a huge undertaking. And building a new paint shop in California may have new requirements and regulations that Tesla could not fall under. So the best they can do is clean up as best they can and hope for the best. Now, I've been to the Fremont factory. I've been next to it many times, and I've never smelled any pollution. But that doesn't mean anything because I imagine the pollution is not something you can smell. Many carcinogens are not. I don't know if you know this, but California is known to contain ingredients that the state of California has deemed potentially cancer-causing. That's I think that's their new state flag is the Prop 65 warning. So they should just give out those stickers. And the problem is if that sticker itself has like ink or dye in it that may cause cancer, you have to put a label on the label. So I don't know how you do that. I don't know how many.
There's not a lot of room on those stickers anymore.
It's labels all the way down is the problem. So there's all these legal snafus. The reason we're bringing this up isn't to criticize a company. It's to balance out the coverage. These are, especially in the case of this one, these are known obstacles, and they're working to remedy them.
It's interesting that with Tesla's expansion into Texas, that that paint shop should be on a different level than what Fremont is because they've had the benefit of both the Shanghai and Berlin plants being built with paint shops, and this was probably an upgrade for them in Texas as well.
I am confident it is. We have seen the machines that went in, the components that went in for the paint shop, and it does appear to be radically new. It is not on the same level as Berlin for some reason, but maybe they felt that European customers hold their paint to a higher standard. I don't know. So I guess I would say in the comments, what do you think of all these big legal issues and the end of the road? Truly, the end for Tesla. It's so terrifying. I don't know how they will ever recover from this. But these many issues. And what did we leave out? What should we be talking about? Are there any issues that need a deeper dive? Let us know. Hey, do me a favor, would you guys? Head on over to the Tesla Life. Check out Mark, Patrick, and Casey and see what they are up to All good guys, I guess. And everybody else, like, subscribe, do the usual, and stay tuned, stay juicy, and I cannot wait to hear from you clever robots in court.